finance, education, healthcare, stabilization and food security, and help them to address challenges of biodiversity and the climate. Let us come off the horns of a dilemma. We don't need to choose between growth, climate change and biodiversity. We can do everything if we mobilize private and public financing within a framework that brings together, reconciles east, west, north and south. That's the framework we've built. And now what we need to do is expedite the transition that's already underway. And I thank you all. The heads of the World Bank, the IMF, have commented on these efforts, but we need to go faster. The frameworks we developed have already become obsolete. We need to mobilise more private financing to accompany transitions in middle-income countries, developing countries and the poorest nations. We must develop guarantee mechanisms that losses will be covered, and we need to mobilise more private financing to help those countries and help them to grow. That is vital if we want to avoid crises, destabilisation tomorrow. This agenda is an agenda which brings us together and in some way forces some people to cast aside selfishness and avoids a situation whereby others are alone facing their challenges. It is for that reason we must also continue. Whatever the ill winds that blow, continue to mobilise to stop biodiversity loss and help the climate. As I was saying, together we were able to notch up victories recently. The Nice Treaty that entered into force through collective rallying. We finally have a regulation framework for our oceans. That was something we've been waiting for decades. The same collective mobilisation is what we must see on plastic. We need to develop an international treaty that aims to put an end to plastic pollution. The same mobilisation is what we need to have to mobilise biodiversity credits and give more consistency to our carbon credits. This same rallying needs to be seen as we move towards the Berlin COP. France and Europe will be at that meeting and we will be in step with the 2030 goals. We will mobilise all financing necessary to usher in this transition, whether that be public or private financing. We have no right to turn away, stray from the course towards the goals we set ourselves. We have no right to simply crumble and become isolated. As you've seen, all of these global challenges, education, healthcare, agriculture, food security, biodiversity, climate, the fight ultimately against all inequalities that destabilise our global order require the same spirit of cooperation